ready for the long haul, that's why.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'd like to call this October 10th, 2024 Jacksonville Water and Sewer Advisory Committee meeting to order. Wally, I'm assuming we have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Yes, sir.
Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda items? Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Hearing none, I accept the motion to adopt the agenda.
Ask for a vote.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda adopted. Has everyone had a chance to review our last meeting's minutes?
Motion to approve?
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody this evening. I'm assuming we'd hand everything over at this time to Wally.
Yes, sir. Good evening. We appreciate everybody coming tonight. As you recall, we are accelerating our capital improvement plan process. We're moving it from beginning in October, spanning to the March timeframe, to beginning in August and trying to have it to City Council in December. The reason for that is the capital improvement plan, as you're aware, is such a large document. It's a major part of the budget, and it really helps to have it completed earlier in building the budget, because that's how we use the capital improvement plan along with all of our operation and maintenance costs to build the budget. So in our rate model to set the rates and everything like that. So the idea is that if we can get this component approved and in front of council in the December timeframe or early January timeframe, then they have the next 3 to 4 months to review it, review the other budget items that are submitted, make changes if necessary, and then approve it. So this is really one of the key components and one of the early components to building the budget. So with that, we came to you last meeting, gave you an update on the current projects that we're working on, talked about some of those projects that would roll over into the capital improvement plan for the upcoming year, because those projects won't be complete in this fiscal year. Today, what we're going to do, actually what Roy's going to do, is give you a presentation on the new proposed projects and programs for the CIP. This is for all 10 years. It's not all of these projects and programs are not proposed for just the upcoming year. And as you'll see it, the first year, just as a reminder, the first year is the year that's funded. The other 9 years are really planning years. So all of these are the new water and sewer projects that are proposed for the CIP. And then he'll talk about this too, but at one of your following meetings, we will give you the whole document with the rollover projects, the new projects, and then the projects that were already in the CIP, along with hopefully we'll have some rate information or at least some kind of information based on a rate model on how this will impact our rate, if at all. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Roy.
All right, thank you, Wally. First of all, I just want to review real quick what the capital improvement plan is. It is a 10-year planning horizon, like Wally already indicated. It shows project cost estimates. Not a guarantee that that's where they'll stay, but at the time of the document is created, those are the estimates that we're looking at. And it also identifies probable sources of funding. And it's kind of a evaluating and prioritizing process that we go through in creating that document. A capital project is a project that takes longer than 12 months to complete, cost exceeds $50,000, and its useful life is greater than 5 years.
And one new thing that we'll add this year is that it has to be depreciable. Because if it's not depreciable, we can't put it in the CIP. So there are some things that we've had in the past that were in here, but not necessarily, it extended maybe the life of the asset, or it at least maintained the asset to keep its life, but maybe didn't extend it to the point where finance felt it was a depreciable asset.
Okay. And now, moving on, these are the water projects submitted for the fiscal year 26 through 35 CIP. One of the first things that we're looking at is the programmable logic controllers, PLCs. Right now, we've got a lot of existing PLCs that are outdated. They're being discontinued, so maintenance and replacement is going to get either expensive or just not able to occur. With that, it allows, new PLCs will allow integration of updated cybersecurity standards. Some of the locations that we're looking at, we've got 15 remote sites that we'll try to attack in the fiscal year 26 and 27. 5 water treatment plant trains in fiscal year 27, and then 15 non-priority sites in fiscal year 29. We're trying to spread this out, that way our cost is not, all at once.
Before you leave that, just one comment. Within the last 3 months, we just completed a cybersecurity assessment for the water plant. There's been multiple attacks on water infrastructure, cyber attacks on water infrastructure. Matter of fact, there was one this week for a private company that is one of the largest private holders of water treatment facilities. So the assessment identified one of our vulnerabilities is some of these PLCs, because if you can no longer update the software, then they are not as secure. So they need the updates and the patches. And I don't understand it all, but in most cases, it's kind of like an iPhone. At some point, when you downloaded so many of the new updates, it just kind of stops working or is not as efficient as it was, which is why we end up with new phones. So it's the same idea. It's just that we have so many of them that it's very costly.
And so for fiscal year 26, we're looking at expenditures around $82,000. Fiscal year 27 will be $368,000, and fiscal year 29, $205,000. And these funds will come from the water fund.
So what are the life of these things? So like how some of these that need to be replaced, are they those years old?
Those have been in there since, some of those have been in since 2012. So you're at 14, and of course, that's when we put them online.
Gotcha.
So they were purchased a year or two before that in construction. So some of these are extremely old.
So your expenditures there are just broken up on how many sites you're doing per year?
Yes. The next thing we're looking at is the submersible pump conversion. The top image you see there is a vertical turbine pump. These are for the 7 Black Creek wells. By switching it to a submersible pump, will improve our efficiency and reduce the maintenance requirements to keep them running. Our expenditures over the fiscal years 28 and 29, initial fiscal year 28 is looking at $100,000 for planning, engineering, and then fiscal year 29 for actual construction / installation and get things started up. And again, those will come from the water fund. That's where the funds will come from. Moving on to sewer projects. We're looking at starting a new program, pump station upgrade program. Basically what this program does, right now, whenever we have a significant weather event, we have a portable generator that employees need to take around to different pump stations to basically clear out the line in preparation for others, and then they move on to the next station, clear out that line, and keep going. So we're putting them out in the middle of a storm or shortly after a storm where they're facing the hazards that the storm has created. By installing a generator at each of these pump stations and an automatic transfer switch, this is something that can be done remotely as needed, thereby reducing the risk to employees, but also improving our own efficiency and capabilities in the event of a major weather event.
What is the life expectancy of the generators that you're putting in?
If we maintain them, I mean, we have generators for our Black Creek wells that have been here longer than I have.
That's a long time.
So, but we do, it comes down to maintenance. We have a generator maintenance program. And Roy's correct. We have mostly our smaller stations, and this wouldn't even put all of our stations on generator power. We have a generator mounted on a truck, and we ferry it around with crew members, and they plug it in, flip the transfer switch, pump it down, go to the next site. And they do this until we get power back at all of our stations. With Florence, we were ferrying generators for over a week to different stations. Some of that is self-selected, right? Because everywhere you put a generator, you now have to maintain it. So there's an upfront capital cost plus a maintenance cost. But then there's also the reactionary, you have to staff it when times are difficult, when you decide to make that decision. So what we've done is evaluated some of the larger stations that we have to get to more frequently. There's still smaller stations than what we currently have generators for, but this is the larger of the small stations, we're now making sure that we're getting to them once or twice a day, and that gets difficult if you're trying to hit 15 stations. So we're trying to be selective. Again, we're trying to balance the risk versus the cost versus saving money, but we're at the point now with a few of those, we think we need to move forward with a generator.
As well as, obviously there are some multi-year cycles where we have more than others. But,
That is correct.
and we'll probably do, but, again, weigh in the cost, large expenditures on something that might be a need every 3 years or something. So
That is true.
that's y'all's position to kind of weigh and.
Yeah, and this is one of those things that we have drug our feet on for quite a while, and we're getting it, and some of that's based on flow. If you have a station you only got to pump out once a day, then that's less of a concern than a pump station we got to make sure we get back to every 3 hours.
Right.
So it's just those things that we're trying to balance. Of course, the ones that currently have generators, we have about 30 minutes. So if we don't get there in 30 minutes, we're in trouble. So we have all of those already have generators. So we're trying to find that balance of, when do you invest that money to put additional infrastructure there versus you don't have to use them every single day either.
Yeah.
So, and the way we programmed it out is we're looking at about $70,000 every couple of years, not an every year expense. And these funds would come from the sewer fund.
And some of these generators are on the smaller side too.
Right.
Yeah.
Next thing we're looking at is the Bryn Mawr lift station. It has experienced a lot of degradation due to hydrogen sulfide. There's already a new biofilter on the way. And the bottom picture that you see up there is the pad for that new biofilter. This program, this rehabilitation will rehabilitate the pumps, the channel grinder, the wet well access hatches, air conditioning units, and coatings, hopefully extending the life of this asset out as far as we can. And then, of course, we would also like to install a generator, upgrade the PLC and automatic transfer switch. Looking at in fiscal year 26, $112,500 to finalize any planning and designing, And then fiscal year 27, $337,500, again, coming from the sewer fund.
And when we're talking about the hydrogen sulfide gas, if you remember a few months ago, we were here talking about the concrete pipe along Highway 24 that basically the pipe had eroded from the gas and was sand in the bottom of the pipe, stopping it up. That's exactly what's happening to the inside of that concrete building. You can actually go in and rub your hand across the wall from the gas over the years, and sand falls off. So it's, the important piece was getting the biofilter replaced and getting the air exchanges that we need. But now we need to go in and protect our investment so that we don't have to go in and do something much more costly in the future. Because that's probably about a $1.5 million or more lift station right now. It handles over 1 million gallons a day.
Moving on to the Cheney Creek trunk line rehab. This also is experiencing degradation due to hydrogen sulfide. This is a 36-inch trunk line. It is a major line to the largest lift station for the city. This is considered a critical and high priority line. As you can see by the picture, it is not pretty. And so over the next several years, we're looking to, during fiscal year 26, our primary goal is to decide whether it needs to be replaced or if it can just be rehabilitated. Our ultimate goal would be to rehabilitate if it makes sense to do so. However, if that's not feasible, then we would look at replacing, which would be a significant project.
How long is that 36-inch trunk line?
It runs from Hargett Street to the main pump station along Cheney Creek. So I don't have that length, but
Right there by Quartz Plus?
it comes out beside Quartz Plus and it runs all the way through the woods, all the way to Hargett Street.
Okay.
It's actually the lower end of the line that we just lined.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. And then just to reemphasize our timeline, it is reduced from years previous to now. This month, we're presenting new projects that have been introduced. Next month, we'll have a discussion regarding the rate model and how the CIP impacts that rate model. And then come December, if we don't do it in the end of November, then we'll probably do it beginning sometime in December to get your approval or your support to present to council, the CIP.
And I recognize that this is an accelerated schedule this year, and it is for us too. And what Roy hasn't shared is that while we've pulled all of these new projects together, not just for water and sewer, but all city departments, on top of that, they switched out the software we were using and went from a access appearance type program to a web-based solution. So not only has Roy had to do it in an accelerated time schedule, he's had to learn the software to get it done too. So if we get there and you're semi-comfortable but want additional information or want us to bring something back, we could ask for a conditional approval too. You could always say you're comfortable recommending approval to council, but if anything changes, you reserve the right for us to bring that back and make further suggestions. So we've done that in the past too. I will be happy to answer any questions.
Self-explanatory. I mean, a lot of new projects, a lot of things that are costly, seeing those type of figures, but it is what it is. I mean, I sit here and look at what we've got to what Florida and all these other places are going through. We're blessed to be in the position we are, so.
Yeah.
But, softwares are hard. I mean, but he's a smart guy. He knows what he knows.
It hasn't been too painful. It's just making sure everything transitioned over, so we're not losing any information in the process.
That's the key, not losing anything.
That's the hard part.
From a bird's eye view, how does what you're doing financially look like with the budget that we have? Are we going to go out for bonds?
I don't think so. So I'm going to answer that very carefully.
Okay.
We are also in the process of getting a new rate model. It's time to update our rate model. So, you know, I'm always nervous when we do this because we just did this with our system development fee study that we did. So you find out how close you really are when to your projections when you get a new tool that has updated features. So I feel like we've been very conservative in our rate model, and I think council has been very wise, which this board was a big part of, and Mr. Thomas was a big part of, in moving forward with small incremental adjustments. I think we're going to be okay. So I'm concerned. I'm nervous, not really concerned. I'm nervous because, you know, I just want to make sure that we're meeting the standard that we're expected to meet. While I pay rates too, so I don't want them any higher than they have to be. And I have 3 teenagers right now, and one that thinks she's a teenager, and a Renai hot water heater. So my water bill is excessive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see rates any higher than they need to be either. So I think we'll be okay. We tried to be very careful in how we programmed these. We didn't front load them. We tried to be reasonable in what our studies showed. So, plus we are trying new methods too. So we have a new, we talked about this at the last meeting a little bit, where we have a new manhole rehabilitation method that we're moving forward with. And a manhole that we had to repair in an emergency that cost us $30,000. We could have brought the company in that does this if we'd identified it before it failed, and they could have done it and extended the life 10 years for $300 or $350 a vertical foot. I think that was about 12 feet deep, which is why it was so expensive to replace.
Wow.
But still much cheaper than a replacement.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to find different methods and ways of, you know, extending the life of our infrastructure. And then we adjust our projects as we can.
But
I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, things like those generators, just, you know, a full analyzation to,
That's
you know,
right.
once you bring something, that 200 and whatever it was, $250,000 investment, once you put them in place, then they're going to be in position for replacement,
That's
whatever,
right.
whether it's 15, 20 years or whatever. So, you know, just weigh in the value of them versus the inconvenience of periodic outages.
That's right. It's a great example. And admittedly, if you got to cut money, guess where the first place we would cut? You know, those would be the first ones off the list,
Exactly.
you know?
Right. Yeah.
Not that TJ would want to hear
Yeah,
that because
I got
it
you.
is,
Yeah.
you know, it's his people, but really that's the first thing you look to cut if we've got to start cutting.
Gotcha.
And admittedly, there are some projects in our CIP that we talk about every year, and we adjust every year because we are planning for future development too. So if you have a development that stalls or doesn't move forward as quickly as they're saying, that's something we look at moving out and pushing out, and that helps in our rate model also.
Right.
So we try to be very careful about balancing everything. So I think we're going to be okay, but it'll be interesting to see.
Always is.
And the 2.5 doesn't affect the 2.5 a year growth and bills and all that, like.
Now, that would be calculated in. Yep.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you, Roy. If there's no other questions, I'd like to move to an open discussion.
Sounds great. We have a few things for you tonight. We deployed a team to the town of Old Fort to help with the Hurricane Helene response effort. The town of Old Fort is a small town. It's roughly 1,000 person population. Right along Highway 40, about an hour past Hickory. So our team left yesterday. We sent 8 individuals. It was a mix of streets, utilities, and we sent 1 inspector from engineering to assist. who could also operate equipment. And we sent a very, what I'll call, versatile team. We sent 11 pieces of equipment, and I have no problem sharing what we sent, but we sent a backhoe on a lowboy, and then two dump trucks, a 5-ton dump truck for smaller areas, a 20-ton dump truck for hauling. Then we sent a mini excavator, and we sent a jet truck and our camera van. So like I said, we sent crews or personnel to make up the crew from 3 different divisions. The idea there is TJ's not as hard hit and doesn't lose complete capability. We spread that load out some. We haven't decided how long. I have a conference call with our crew this evening after they get settled. Today was their first day of work. We did have a few challenges today. We went right to work on a 2-inch water line that the town that was completely broken. It crossed the creek and creek rose and completely just took the line out. So we're relaying that water line. And then on our way up, we ran across 3 pallets in the middle of the road that we did our best to avoid, but we had a little bbit of damage to 2 trailers. We got that repaired today, and the crews made it okay, fine, but we just some minor damage to a tire and then one of the hooks. And then we had our jet truck pump was leaking, and I guess just from the travel that far, it probably they were diagnosing it today. There's a Freightliner place there that said that they could help us. That was about 40 minutes away, so we expect to have that up and running tomorrow. But I can tell you that our crews were when they came, they got there about, after everything, they got there about 9 last night. They were greeted at the interstate by an escort, and the people were thrilled when they showed up. So
Good, great.
my number was a lot higher today. So, but it was just great to see. It's sad to hear. I sit on a call every day at 4 o'clock, and communities are destroyed. It's just sad to see.
Yeah.
Was it hard to find somewhere to put them in, like, the stay?
They had it set up. They're sleeping in a Baptist church in the youth center. They have portable showers there. This town was apparently destroyed. The National Guard's on site. So our equipment's all at the police station with the National Guard present. We were worried about that, but, and they have mobile showers. So they have power, mobile showers, and decent sleeping quarters. And these are the gentlemen that went. They all volunteered. All in all, when we asked for volunteers, we had 40 from public services.
Wow. That's awesome. Teamwork.
And then on a little happier note, this was a project that was identified and completed by Michael Connors and Derek. This was the ground storage tank at the water treatment plant. You can see what the tank looked like before we got it prepared and painted, and how it looks after. But the big thing is this is a stressed steel concrete tank. So when it went up, you have basically concrete inside wrapped in a steel band from top to bottom, and then concrete poured over it. So it's very critical that, and as we all know, concrete is not waterproof, it is porous, and concrete, the big thing is, concrete cracks. Anybody who owns a driveway knows that concrete cracks. No matter what you do, concrete is going to crack. So it's just managing that. So the big thing is making sure you keep that steel band inside protected. So it was time to have this tank cleaned and coated. So you can see the before and after. It's not just pretty, it's very pointful to protect that concrete.
So you say Derek was out here doing that?
He oversaw the contractor that did it. But you kind of have to have some special equipment for that one.
The interior renovation, well, not renovation, but the interior work had been done previously, I think the year prior. So this was the follow-up to that.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, it really stands out on the screen when you're out there. It really didn't look as bad as it does in that picture.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that looks
But it looks
bad.
bad there. So, but that, I mean, again, over 12 years in operation.
Yeah.
My crowning achievement this year so far is the gum branch water tank.
Yes.
Yep, it's good.
We appreciate you, Derek. Thank you.
That's all we have for open discussion unless anybody has any questions.
Is the CAFR out?
It is not yet. And they don't call it the CAFR anymore, which messes me up. ACFR or something, it's got a different acronym, but yes. It's not out yet.
I would just like to say one thing. On the 23rd of October, of course, be expecting at the gardens over there. There's going to be a lot of people,
Yes.
traffic, and the city's doing a great job of supporting us with shuttles and what have you. And we're expecting another 1,000, maybe 2,000 people out there. So it's not going to be as big as last year. Last year we had like over 3,500 out there. But I'd like to thank all the city people that supported that, to include Mr. LaCory and his group, to go out there and trim and make the print look good. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Just in closing, our next regular meeting will be 5:30 on Thursday, December 12th, 2024. And if there's no other business, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
No meeting in November.
No meeting in November?